Thanks so much, Tony, and I will probably echo a lot of things that Jack said. I mean, it was almost like I needed to get up and say, yeah, what he said. But at the same time, that may be a little boring, but at the same time, it made me feel good because in my journey as a coach, you know, I know that there were some things instilled in me from the people I had a tremendous fortune to be with that helped me instill the same things that he's talking about. That made me feel good. And it isn't about me, it's about some of the people that I've had a chance to coach with. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of background, and then I want to jump into these 5 things and tell you a little bit about what the challenge part of all this is for me. And you won't get any X's and O's with me because that's not my deal. I can't help you with that. But I want to challenge you. And I want to help motivate you. And I want to push you out of your comfort zones. And I want you to really think about going into the year and not saying, well, I think we'll just do the same thing we've always done. And that's what I do. And I love it because I think we need to do that. I think we get awful tunnel vision in what we do. And I think we are pretty reserved, and I can't remember quite how Jack said it, but we tend not to want to hear from people about how we're doing our business and how we're coaching. That's a fault, but that takes humility, and you have to be open, and it's amazing. You know, I mentor young coaches, but I mentor coaches at all levels in high school and in college, and a lot of times one of my first conversations with them is, who's your mentor? Who do you listen to? Who comes to practice? Who criticizes you when you do something a little bit over the top? Who provides constructive criticism? It's unbelievable the high percentage of coaches that say, well, I really don't have anybody like that. And I think we're really missing the boat if we do that. Now, it's easy for me because I've stepped away from coaching the game to be able to see that, because I probably would have been that guy saying, I got to figure it out. I've been doing this a while. I'm okay. But I'm here to tell you because I can see this coming from the other direction. It really is crystal clear to me how you need to have someone in your pocket, someone watching. Hey, grab a successful retired coach in your area. They would love nothing more to feel wanted to come into practice and watch your team. And what an awesome resource. Okay, I live in Ames, Iowa. I coached in the college game for 18 years, a high school coach for 5 years, and I finished up at Iowa State in 2003. Started my business away from coaching. I wanted to stay in the industry. I love coaching. I love the opportunities that I was given all these years. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm working with young, aspiring, and current college coaches. And I always get the question, I want to be a college coach, how do I do it? There's no manual. And so I've developed a program, a very extensive, detailed program. Networking is one of the cornerstones of it, to learn how to tap into the people in the business who can help you get the opportunities that you're going to need to get. I've got 2 young guys right here who are really doing a great job, both from Iowa, by the way, and they're in my group. And I really, really enjoy that, because I'll never forget when I got the call to say, we'd like you to become a graduate assistant. there was nothing like it. And so if I can share that with others. Now, on the other side of that, I'd like to mentor just the regular coach, just the regular ball coach that needs to refine their game according to the 6 things on the board and some of the things I'm going to talk about. And I really enjoy doing that also. And again, a lot of X's and O's out there. You really don't have to look far to find it. But don't get so enamored by it that you lose the reason why you're coaching and teaching kids how to play. All right. I do some other things. I have a skill development academy down in Ames. And I'm actually looking for good young coaches who can be taught so that they can do the instruction. Can't find it. I'm either not looking very hard or they're not out there. But I had a young guy come in one time and say, oh yeah, I really want to do this, coach. I really want to work for you and be in this academy. And I said, well, okay, let me just throw this at you. I said, we worked on the floor for about 4 hours yesterday with a group of 8 kids, and we worked on getting open. End of his interest. Done. No more. And that bothers me. You know, either he knew how to teach that, or he was scared to death, or thought I was an absolute nutball because I'd spent 4 hours teaching a kid without having the ball how to get open. And that does bother me, and I'm going to talk about being custodians of the game when I wrap up. I'm humbled because of the people that are here. These are from afar mentors of mine, and Jim and I know each other, and of course you guys. And so very humbled by being here. My path, and I always go through this, not to say I've been to all these great places, but my background comes from some tremendous basketball coaches. I started with Coach Lute Olson at Arizona as a graduate assistant. I worked for Gary Garner at Drake University. I worked for Rich Glass at University of North Dakota, Kevin O'Neill at Marquette, Joby Wright at Miami of Ohio. I worked for Dan Hipsher at Stetson University, who, by the way, we mentioned Texas Pan Am. Dan's the new head man down there at Texas Pan Am. And I worked for Dan at Stetson, then became the head coach down at Stetson. Then I finished up at Iowa State with Larry Eustachy and did a little bit of work with Tim Floyd. So that's my background. And so that's kind of where I come from. And I'm really blessed because what a group of guys to learn under. And just really, really learned a lot. And so the things that I go out and share with coaches comes right from those guys. I heard it, I wrote it down, I documented it. I think you got to write everything down. I think you have to write everything down. You got to document. There's so much good stuff, but use it. Write it down and use it. Okay. Let's go to number 1. I want to talk about the words you use. What terminology is huge. It's really, I think, a cornerstone of successful coaches and successful programs. It doesn't matter what the words are, it matters what they mean, and does everybody know what that word means? The young high school coach, really full of myself, and a kid comes up to me, that I was probably in my 3rd year coaching, and the kid was so frustrated, and he said, "That's it, I can't take it anymore, coach." I said, "What's up? What's the deal?" He said, "You're asking me to do 2 things." He said, "One time you said to set a screen, and the other time you said to pick the guy." And man, he hit me stone cold. And I thought, what a dummy. You know, if we really listen to the words we use, and we assume way too much for these kids. And I thought, man, what a great lesson I learned from that kid. He was so frustrated. And he thought it was 2 different deals, and he didn't know what the difference between them was. And that was my fault. That was on me. That was a great lesson that I learned young in my career. Let the kids come up with terms. And let them be as catchy and hip and today as possible. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to rip off a bunch of them that I've got here, and I know you all have your own catalog of terminology. You younger coaches. Okay, if you're not, and I heard something disturbing that one of the young coaches said, "No, I really don't have any guidance from above." Well, you create your own list of terminology, right? And those really become the words we speak in our program. They're anchors. All coaches from top to bottom have to use those same terms, and not only use those terms, but all understand the definition of what those terms are and how to execute those. I think it's really, really big. BJ Hill is the head coach at Northern Colorado. And BJ's an Iowa guy, and I've known BJ a long time, and I serve as in a mentoring role with him. And he's playing at Marquette 2 years ago, and this is just such a great story about terminology. And so he said they're having trouble scoring, and he hears Buzz Williams down on the other end just screaming the word turkey. Turkey, turkey, just screaming it. And you know how he gets a little fired up. And BJ's like, what in the world is going on? What is he, has he lost it? And every once in a while, he'd start yelling turkey. And BJ goes to him after the game and said, Buzz, what in the hell is this turkey deal? He said, we have a term in our program, if we get 2 stops, if we can get 1 more, it's a turkey. And I guess it's a bowling term. All right? Got some guys not, I don't know anything about bowling, but I did research it enough to know it's a bowling term. Now, how cool is that? Those kids are bought into turkey. That's pretty neat. Maybe, I don't know who made it up. They come up and they didn't name you one. And I just, the more I've been around, the guys I've been around, they all had their own set of words. I'm going to read from you an article by an assistant coach at North Texas. I saw this the other day, and I want to read this to you. I thought this was really good, and it was all about the words that we use. So he says, as coaches, we assume that the players can understand what we are saying. There's that word, assume. The truth is that many young players are getting only part of the message and sometimes none of the message. They're just words. In many cases, this is due to their lack of understanding of the terminology that is unique to the program. So what is the terminology that is unique to your program? That would be my challenge to you, my first challenge. All right? So if you don't have any, let's start today. Man, you got a bunch of great minds here. You start talking to guys. What terms do you have? Do you have a list of terms? Do you have them written down? What do they mean? What a great way to start your own list. I think you got to have it. Zip, zap. I just wrote down a few from different guys I've been around. Zip, zap, brace, check mark. A check mark's a good one for kids. You say, how do you get open on the wing? You can't get open on a straight line. We've all seen kids try to get open from the block to the wing, block to the wing, block to the wing, can't catch it. They say, well, you can't get open, you can't play. These are young kids. Young kids have to be told that. You can't get open on a straight line. Well, how do I get open? I said, what happens at school when you get something, you get a problem wrong, you get a check mark, don't you? Big red check mark, yeah. You know that shape? Okay, you take them out of the wing and you teach them how to drive the defender into the lane, get their top foot over the top foot of the defender. We call it winning the foot war. And explode to the wing, target, hand, and catch. Man, it's unbelievable when you teach them that. It's unbelievable. Check mark. I didn't make that up, they did. A kid did one day in the gym. I thought it was awesome. You know? V-cut, I've called it forever. You know, back to the Coach Knight and all that. It's a V-cut. They don't know what a V-cut is. What the heck? I mean, let them name it. And the kid did. I thought that was awesome. Break the thigh. Window. Show the window. And I've got definitions for all this stuff. Go where they ain't. 2x4. Pre-score. Pre-score is being ready to score before that ball ever touches your hand. And a lot, you know, we see a lot of kids, especially the younger kids, are bystanders like they're waiting for a bus. Standing there. All of a sudden the ball's in their hand, they don't know what to do. Pre-score. It's just another way to tell a kid to get ready. No angles. Larry had a term, with the ass. You know, trail like a rabbit. I mean, there's a lot of terms, and that's for chasing a cutter around the screen. Show your hands to the ref. Boy, I love that one. Show your hands to the ref. Love it. Because see, we may say, you're being too physical, all right, you're not vertical. You know, use our own vocabulary. Show the ref your hands, he's down there in the baseline, there's 3 of them for crying out loud. If they're going to call it, they're going to call it. But show him your hands. Show them where they are. And Larry Stacey, one of the most misunderstood guys in this game. And a lot of times, and I've been through my own trials, and I've made my own mistakes, and unfortunately Larry's a guy that's known for what he's done wrong, for being an alcoholic and making some mistakes. But that guy's an unbelievable basketball coach. Phenomenal. And his terminology is so simple. And when we get on the top three, I want to talk to you a little bit about his practice. Butt to the ball, stride stop, piece of the paint, hook in. I mean, so lots of them. Okay, if you don't have a list, start it today. If you've got one, take a look at it. You may not have refined it for a while. The words we use are really, really important. All right, let's talk about the second one. And this is, I'm really going to try to condense this because this is something I really, really enjoy talking about, much longer than a little snippet here today. But I call it your top three. And the story goes like this. I was 27 or 8, and I had finished my graduate assistantship at Arizona, and I went to work for Coach Gary Garner at Drake University. He's a phenomenal basketball coach. And I walked right into a trap, and I didn't know it. And Coach Garner, now you got to understand, he played at Missouri, worked with Norm Stewart a lot of years. He's got to know Mr. Iba, you know, and that's his background. Those are his roots. And he says, this is like the second day on the job. He said, well, tell me, would you consider yourself an offensive coach or a defensive coach? Now remember, I'm 28, and I think I got this thing locked. I said, well, Coach, I think I'm pretty good at both. You idiot. I mean, he hooked me. It was over. And he said, I mean, he almost got mad. He said, listen, young man, I'm going to tell you one thing. You're either an offensive coach or you're a defensive coach. I'll never forget it. And Jack was talking about simplicity and taking this game and teaching kids how to play through simplicity. I love the visual of if we had, and you've seen these guys on the Vegas shows, they got a line of sticks and plates, right? And this guy's out there and he gets all these plates going. And let's say there's 10 of them, and they're going right down this row right here, and he gets them all going. We've all seen this. I think it's a great, kind of a great snapshot of what we face as coaches. So he gets them all going pretty good, right? And then there's one down kind of second from the end and starts wobbling a little bit. So what does he do? Goes down there and he tightens that thing up a little bit. Well, sure enough, when he does that, behind him, there's 2 more that are starting to go. He goes and tightens those up. Now there's 4 ready to go, and you've seen the deal, right? Okay? And if you're not attending to them quick enough, they fall, they break. And that's kind of how it is with coaching. If we are trying to be everything, if we're trying to be everything to everyone in this game, we're going to have those plates. You can't do 10. You can't keep 10 plates going. You can't be a great pressing team. You can't be a great fast break team. You can't have an unbelievable motion offense. You can't be the best rebounding team in your league unless you just got studs. You just flat out you're the best player. It doesn't matter. Okay, and I think you all know where I'm coming from. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little test. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. I would like you to write down on your paper, if I say give me 3 things, identity, give me the 3 things that you will go to bat with. I always call it the yellow bus rule. You know, when you get out of that high school gym in the middle of the winter, when you step in that yellow bus, do you feel good about how you handled your top 3? Or do you know that one of your foundations, one of your anchors wasn't there that night? Man, that's a bad feeling. Now, you may shoot horribly that night, and that's okay, you know, because your game might be geared to not being able to make shots and still win. That's fine. Because you want to rebound, you want to get back, and you want to limit turnovers, whatever your top 3 is. Okay. Write down your top 3. And if you've never done this, again, what a great time to start. All right, go. All right, that's good. So the point would be this. If those 3 didn't just come off that pen, bang, 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 I really want you to look inside. I want you to take a look at your game. And what's really neat is if you really want to know what your identity is, ask someone in your league. Ask someone you play against. Just say, hey, if you could tell me the 3 things that you know you're going to get from us every night out, what would they be? Well, let's see. A couple years ago, you guys were, okay, no. You failed. What's your identity? And do other people know? Another thing called the 30-minute rule. If I were to walk into your gym, if Zach and I were to walk into your gym and I put 30 minutes on the clock, sight unseen, never seen your team practice, in 30 minutes could I come up with the anchors of your program? Now, if we're consistent, if we have the language and we're consistent in terms of how we're teaching this game, what we value about the game, well, I tell you, in 30 minutes, I should be able to get really close. And I should be able to go up to you after practice and say, Coach, this is what I saw. How close am I? All right, a couple pretty cool things. This t-shirt, and I encourage high school coaches to do this. Number one, come up with your top 3. Number 2, yeah, you know it. Big deal. Who else has to know it? Your kids and your parents. All right, so this is a buddy of mine. And ironically, Nate worked with Larry Stacey at Southern Miss. Defend, rebound, team together. He's got it right on his shirt. I know other high school coaches who have mud shirts, but they also have put together huge signs on the wall of their gym, in the locker room. Now, they can't be just words. Those kids have to very specifically know what those 3 things mean. And if you can do that, man, that's where the magic happens. We're trying to get our kids to go on the floor and execute the game the way we want it executed. Okay? If they're talking Portuguese and you're talking Japanese, it ain't working, man. We do that a lot. Your top 3. Really interesting. I have an exhaustive list, but I like to do, and I'll ask some guys this weekend for your top 3. And I keep a list. Again, I want to read some of these to you, just get an idea of what some other coaches have said in terms of their list. The master of all is the master of none. I just love that one. All right. This is really fun to keep track of. I'm just going to throw some stuff out. Greg Lansing, Indiana State. I'm going to go fast through this. Compete, work hard, and defend. And he also threw unselfishness and communication. I said, no, you can't do that. You can only have 3. See, he wants more. Jeff Rutter, Iowa State. Get back, guard the ball, and rebound the basketball. Greg McDermott, Creighton, set plays, game preparation, shooting. Don't let your kid go to the NBA. That's 4. Good job, Mac. He's actually got, see, this is old. He's got away from set plays. So I would take that off there. Norm Stewart, University of Missouri, and I got this from Coach Garner. Compete, protect the basket, take care of the ball. You may say that's old school. That's, you know what? That's winning. That's what that is. Tim Floyd told me, get back, toughness, defend, and rebound. Ben Jacobson, Northern Iowa, defend, rebound, and interesting, this is the only one I've heard. Jake's 3rd one is finish plays. I love that. Finish plays. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he gave me about 20 minutes of what finish plays was. It's really cool. His kids totally bought into it. They finish plays, not almost. So that's pretty cool. If that's one of his top 3, I mean, that says a lot about how much he cares about that. Brad Underwood at Kansas State, who's now at South Carolina. Effort, honesty, and loyalty. There's nothing about on-ball screens there on that one. I thought that was pretty cool. Works for Frank Martin. I've got a lot of high school coaches, top 3s in here, lots. Okay, and this is part of what I will offer to send you, by the way, because we certainly don't have the time to get into it. But I really like to keep that. And so I'm going to talk to Jim Boone, because he wrote them down real quick. So I know he knows exactly what his are. And so I'm going to add to my list this weekend, if you guys don't mind being involved. It's a pretty cool list. All right, let's get back to so that's number 3. Top 3. And challenge each other. Here's another great one. Ask your staff what your top 3 is. You may not want to ask your staff. You may not want to do that, but it would be very interesting, wouldn't it? Think about this. Last thing on top 3. Think about this. Do your kids know how to get in the game? I asked a kid that one time. You know how to get in the game? He goes, yeah, you go to the scorer's bench and you check in. No, you don't ask. That's not what I'm saying. How do you get into the game? Okay, what does that mean? That means if you're playing for me, what does it take for you to get on the floor? Now that's a real good question for a kid, and probably even a better question for his mother and father. Because it isn't just I play hard and I'm going to get a chance to play because we all play. It's an equal opportunity deal. No, it's not. Intramurals is. You can jack all the threes you want in intramurals. You don't have to get back on defense. All right? And nobody goes home and complains to their mom and dad. Just go play intramurals. You know, I heard it earlier. It's a team game. It's important. We're trying to win. High school coach, I heard him one time get angry at a parent, and he said, okay, so what you're saying is you think we're trying to lose. Now think about that. You're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're playing this guy, you're not playing this guy. Yeah, you're right, we're trying to lose. I'm sorry. Come on. All right. Now the other part of that is, once they get on the floor, what do they have to do to stay on the floor? Now this takes some thinking for your guys. And unless you challenge them, they don't think like this. One of my all-time favorite stories. This would have been back 2000. Big old Iowa farm boy named Jared Holman, who ended up really making a career for himself. 6'8", this big strapping kid, just mean. And Jared's in the game. It's on the other end. We're playing Missouri. The shot goes up. He doesn't block out. It goes off us. It's Missouri's ball. The horn goes off. You're going to see it's at the other end. So here's our match. It's not at the other end. And this is awesome. And he hears the horn. He turns around and he sprints to the bench. Nobody said a word to him. He just turned around and he sprinted to the bench. I'm like, good job, Holman. Good job. And he comes, and the open seat was next to me, and I'm telling you, he's a big son of a gun. And man, he ripped right in front of me, and I'll never forget that sound. And you know, the cushy chairs. He got right in front of me, and he slammed that cushion so loud, it scared me. He goes to sit down. I turn to him, and he says, "Don't say it." He knew. Now, how cool is that? He offered himself out of the game because he knew if he didn't, the horn's coming anyway. Larry's taking him out. Because our deal was we could care less about shots, never take you out for a bad shot. If you don't block out, you're coming out. On Tuesday, you're coming out. Saturday night, you're coming out. On the road, you're coming out. Film sessions, watch it. When you're a sophomore, junior, senior, you don't block out, you don't play physical without fouling, you're coming out. Or you're never getting in. Ask your kids, how do you get on the floor in this program? Play for me. Once you get on the floor, how do you stay on the floor? They need to know that.